Welcome to this highly energetic masterclass. This is a transmission, which means that this type of content is much more about your feelings than my words. You can easily consume this as a podcast. This is not what it's meant for. This is an opportunity for you to explore your inner realms, because I will be pointing towards certain patterns and certain energetics. When we speak about energetics, we use metaphors because our energetic system, our energetic blueprint is quite intangible. So the words are an instrument or a tool I use to point towards a thing that you have to uncover. If you want to get the most out of this masterclass, utilize this almost as a tool for meditation. Stop it, journal on the questions, explore what's coming up, like really co-create with me here. This is how you'll get the best out of it. It's not about the words. I'll probably repeat myself a couple of times, or I will say the same thing in different metaphors because someone might need that other perspective so it really clicks in. We'll speak about the energetics of change. The only thing in life that is inevitable is change. We've all heard that, we all know that. How come that no one is teaching us how to master change on an energetic level? Because regardless of how the change is physicalizing, there is the same law or the same order of law that happens when we initiate change. On an energetic level, it always looks the same. So it's important for us to know the energetic blueprint of change and master change. Because even when we have the energetic blueprint, it is hard enough. Just because we know how something is playing out, or just because we have a roadmap, doesn't mean it's protecting us from the pain that comes with it. But it helps us to utilize the pain as fuel rather than to crumble and walk the other direction. The pinnacle of pain is when we are switching or shifting into a new paradigm. But most of us are afraid to feel this immensity of pain because we haven't mastered the energetics of change. So oftentimes, that pinnacle of pain that is actually indicating a new paradigm for us, a new existence, a new realm, is the very moment that we turn around and do it all over again, rather than allowing this pinnacle of pain to transform and transmute us as we burn in its fire. And this is something we have to learn. You could call this a shamanic superpower. If we do not know how to operate within change and allow it to alchemize us into that new version and birth us into this new realm that we're meant to go in, what will happen is we will loop through life and wonder why the F we feel stuck. So what happens a lot of times if we're not experienced enough with the energetics of change? We have a desire, right? We desire something to be different. We have a goal. We want a certain life. We desire a certain life. And we initiate. We initiate simply through the power of our thoughts. We initiate a change, a momentum through our desire. As we initiate this momentum, it has to alchemize us. An initiation or intention is always followed by disruption, always. Creation isn't this seamless experience, but there are obstacles on the path. What happens for most of us is consciously and subconsciously, We initiate change. We initiate momentum simply by the nature of our desire, simply by being alive. We initiate momentum for change. And then the moment there's actually a breakthrough about to happen, the moment something becomes uncomfortable, which is the sign that, oh wait, we're about to expand. Most of us do not lean in. But a lot of you, a lot of us, all included, what happens now is it feels really uncomfortable. So this is the point where we either abandon the desire, we turn around, we break up the relationship, we run away, we shut down emotionally. This is a lot of times where people commit suicide because we haven't mastered the energetics of pain. And the transformation, the alchemy, happens at the pinnacle of pain. And so this is where a lot of people fall back into addictions. They numb themselves rather than to allow that fire of pain to alchemize them into the new version. So this is hard enough if we have a blueprint for it. This is almost unbearable, and this is what keeps us stuck if we don't have the blueprint. Picture these two scenarios. You walk around and you see this mountaintop, and you're like, oh, that mountain looks real nice. I want to explore that. And then you pack your little bag and you go up this mountain. And the first thing you see is this big, big fence. And you're like, I have to climb it. Now, if you're a Sagittarius like me, you're very adventurous and you might take that fence on. You're like, let me hop over that fence. If you're adventurous and you're ambitious and you really want to see that mountaintop, you're just curious. Chances are for a lot of you, you already turn around because you're like, oh, I guess there's a gate. I guess there's a fence. I guess that's not for me to see. Now you continue your walk and all of a sudden you see a freaking crazy, wild, rabies-infested fox. And you're like, okay, probably there is where you stop. Even if you're curious on what's on the mountain, that wild foaming fox is like where you draw the line. And you're like, okay, let me return. I guess this mountain wasn't for me to explore. That's usually what happens. Picture scenario 2. You see the mountain and you're like, oh wow, this mountain looks really great. And all of a sudden, some wizard comes along and hands you the map for the mountain. And the wizard is telling you there's gold up in the hills. There's gold on top of the mountain. And no one has claimed that gold yet. It's for you. It's also an Eden-like paradise with beautiful nymphs jumping all over, and there's apples and trees and strong men and glorious rivers and water, and you're like, okay, bring it on. Like, I want to explore that mountain. He's like, the journey is not going to be easy, but here is the roadmap. You can do it. And it tells you that in 1 mile there's a fence. It's high, but you can do it. You have to jump it, but you can do it. And it tells you that in 2 miles up that mountain, there's a wild foaming fox, but you can fight him or you can run. Like, you can make it work. And in 3 miles, right, there's another obstacle, but you can do it. There's gold there, I promise you. Picture these two scenarios. The chances that without having that blueprint that you're gonna make it to the top of the mountain are very, very little. Because if you didn't turn around at the big fence, you're probably gonna turn around at the freaking fucking foaming fox, because you're like, I don't know what's up that mountain, but I don't think it's worth of me getting bit by this wild animal. We're good here. Like, I don't trust that fox. Foxes are sly by themselves. When they're foaming, no, we're good. When you have the roadmap, when you have the blueprint of there's gold on top, promise you that. but it's gonna get hard here and here and here. Chances are high that you're gonna get to the top of the mountain. So what we're creating here energetically is an awareness of what's happening internally, so that you basically get this blueprint to get to the top of the mountain. And the most important step for that is to uncover our current shadow, our current pattern. When I say shadow, I'm not speaking about a malevolent force. I'm not talking about our dark side in a sense of malicious. I'm talking about what is the pattern that is currently programmed in our system that is unseen. So the shadow is the unseen. Now, what happens with change is always connected to discomfort. Our subconscious does not like discomfort. Our subconscious wants to keep us safe. When we set a goal, whether consciously or just by desire and nature's design, we induce a momentum for change. It comes with a discomfort. That's the moment we expand. That is also the moment where, if the shadow is not detected, the shadow pattern will say, oh, this is getting a little too risky and frisky. Let's turn it down a notch, turn around, or go back to addictions. We got to numb this. This is really uncomfortable. That doesn't mean that this shadow is operating in darkness. No, this shadow is usually a hypnotic pattern. It's an automated pattern. It's a law that is set in place that is governing your experience to keep you safe. Because within this paradigm, your subconscious knows how to operate, how to keep you safe. It doesn't have to effort much or exert much energy to keep you safe. It just knows how to keep you safe within this environment not in a physical sense, but environment as in that's the beliefs, that's the laws, that's the subconscious, that's the conscious beliefs, subconscious beliefs. This is the energetic environment. We know how to operate here. You will have to bring in immense awareness in order to communicate with your subconscious and break that pattern. That's where we have to uncover the shadow. Because if we don't uncover it, what happens is you set a desire in motion. We're like, oh, I would love this to happen. I desire that. And then the momentum is going. And the moment pain arises, we spoke about the moment discomfort arises, and apparently my iPhone storage was full. We're back on track. The moment discomfort arises, if you're not aware of the shadow, of the pattern, it will probably lead you back into comfort. However it has to do that, whether it's through releasing the desire, giving up, shutting down. It wants you to come back into the comfort zone because it's safe here, not because the shadow is evil, simply because it's unseen. And when it's unseen and it's automatic, it doesn't operate with your highest destiny. It doesn't operate with your highest timeline. It doesn't operate in your highest desires, but it operates in safety. So what we're exploring is, what is your modus operandi? How do you operate? What is your default mode of operation when you hit the discomfort? For a lot of us, it's releasing the desire. So I'm asking you, what happens when you desire something? Let's say you really want to work with that coach. You really want to take that course. You really want to take that training. You really want to elevate. But but I don't have the money, but I don't have the time, but whatever it is, I'm making up scenarios, right? You apply what that is for you, and maybe this is time for you to stop the video and journal. I desire more intimacy in my relationship, but, right? Like what is it? I want this piece of land. I know I'm meant to own land. I don't have the money, right? What is your but? And how do you respond to the but that comes up immediately? Here's the deal. A very unserving pattern for a lot of us is we're in such a small, like we operate in such a limited consciousness that we don't even allow the thought of a desire, which is the most detrimental patterns of all. Right? So a lot of us are, not a lot of us, but some of us are unfortunately even in this paradigm where we do not even allow ourselves a desire. Like that's how tight-knit the hypnotic pattern is. That's how tight-knit the comfort zone is. For a lot of us, we allow ourselves the desire, but then immediately there is a but. You are responsible for your desires. So you are not allowed to get just off the hook, to let them off the hook. As you desire something, and it is your responsibility to sit with the desire. It's not all your responsibility to make it happen. Delete that. But it is your responsibility to sit with the desire and the longing, so much so that it alchemizes you. And now what happens here is we desire something and we put it into motion. The momentum is going, and then the first obstacle arises, right? The fence, the metaphorical fence on the mountain. Intention is always followed by disruption. That's just what it is. And this is where a lot of us turn around. What do you do when that happens? What does your energetic system do when that happens? I know what mine does. I desire something. It's a project, whatever it is. I really desire it. I really want to make this happen. But, okay. But I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't know how to make it happen. Okay, cool. Let's put all of that aside. Let's put it aside. I still desire it. That is a destabilizing moment for your nervous system. This is the moment where it almost becomes too much energy for a lot of us to hold, so we immediately drop the desire rather than to sit with the question. This is not the equivalent of a stabilized nervous system. In fact, a desire and staying open to that desire, I don't know how to make it happen, but I desire it. That is a destabilizing experience for the nervous system. This is not where we have to stabilize the nervous system. We have to sit with the destabilization for long enough for it to alchemize us. If we now turn around and go and like, oh, I've got to stabilize the nervous system, you have to stabilize your nervous system in the new realm. And first you have to allow this to destabilize you because you want to be destabilized. Why would you want to be stabilized in an environment, energetic environment, that is like cutting you off, that is like closing in on you? It's good that you feel destabilized. Stabilize yourself in the new realm. So we have to stay open to this. We have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system for a reason. There's a big thing around stabilizing the nervous system, calming the nervous system. That's beautiful. And yet there are moments where we have to sit in the discomfort. Discomfort is naturally destabilizing for the nervous system, but it is your responsibility to stay open for your desire. I know what my modus of operation is. Oftentimes, I desire it. I'm excited. I'm ambitious. I'm like putting my backpack on, ready. I'm climbing up that mountain, and the fence comes. And I'm like, all right. Okay. I guess I'm not meant to have that. Now this is where spirituality gets really hostile, because it's like, oh, I guess it's not my karma. Sweetheart, if you're aware enough that karma exists, you also have the power to step out of whatever karma may exist. Okay? Karma is never an excuse. If your heart desires it, if your spirit desires it, it is your responsibility to allow the desire to transform you into the version that can bring in the desire. But this is where we go, guess that's not for me. Maybe that's not God's plan for me. Yeah, that's an easy way out. That's an easy way out of the discomfort. Who said that just because it's hard, it's not meant for you? Who said that what God wants for you comes to you always easy? Who said that God's plan comes without work and without effort? There's a new paradigm of effortless creation. I'm not saying that can't exist. But just because something is hard work or feels like hard work doesn't mean that it's not in flow. I guess that's not in flow, right? This is the typical spiritual way of keeping us in a loop. Like we over spiritualize things, or we look for spiritual excuses, right? Now the excuses we have, it's like, oh, it's not in God's design. God doesn't want it for us. Guess spirit doesn't want it for us. The universe doesn't want it for us. Like all these things. When no, it's just super uncomfortable. Allow the discomfort to rip your old paradigm apart so you can exist in a new one. Another one is like victimhood. Oh, everyone else gets to have that. I guess I don't get to have that. Abandoning desire, big one of mine. Victimhood, God doesn't love me. I don't get to have that. It's not for me. Why is it so easy for everyone else? Let that go. Let this desire go. Right? I abandon my project. What is it for you? Do you shut down emotionally? Or do you stay open? And I don't want to make things up. Let's unfold. What is it for you? How do you respond when things get hard? How do you respond when the desire turns from a fun journey into discomfort and uncomfortable obstacles? It's for you to feel into that. And this is beautifully mirrored in nature. Think about the chicken in the egg. Right? It's in this beautiful egg, and it's the perfect environment for it to grow into this baby chicken from this little fetus, if that's what you call like a baby chicken in its embryonic stage. And this is the perfect environment. But there comes a point where this egg turns from this perfect environment for growth into a prison. It becomes too tight for the baby bird. It also can no longer like breathe or be breathed through the embryonic fluid. It now needs air. So what used to be this cozy, perfect home all of a sudden becomes really suffocating. Feels like a prison. Feels like it's like the walls are coming in, right? Almost claustrophobic. Doesn't that sound familiar to so many of us? Doesn't that sound like a familiar part of the stage? I feel claustrophobic. I feel imprisoned. I feel stuck. I can't breathe. Feels very familiar to me energetically. Now, what does the baby bird do when that happens? It doesn't know that on the other side of this eggshell, doesn't even know that it's in an eggshell, but it doesn't know that on the other side of whatever it's in, there's a whole new world where it can run around and peck little corns all day, hopefully, and just attempt to fly and do all these things and peck other birds because that's just what they do. They're weird. It doesn't know that. So the pain and the discomfort, because don't think that this is a comfortable experience for the baby bird. I don't think the baby bird is just like, oh, it's really tired, but cheerio, we're having a grand old time. No, it's probably panicking, and it's probably like, this is claustrophobic, so it starts pecking. Because it's the only thing it can do, it starts pecking. And it pecks open the eggshell, and all of a sudden, whew, it can breathe, and there it is. Think about the insanity of the baby bird trying to stabilize its nervous system within that egg that is coming, like closing in on it. That's insanity. Also, think about the insanity of being loyal to that environment, which so many of us do that. We have this, again, we bring in these spiritual concepts and we abuse them to abuse ourselves. So you don't owe any loyalty to the place that nourished you, and it was your womb space. That was great. You don't owe it loyalty. The baby bird, the baby chicken in the egg does not owe loyalty to the egg. It doesn't owe gratitude to a degree where it's like, oh, I should be grateful for being in this egg and suffocating. What would happen if the baby bird didn't take the pain as the fuel? It would literally die. So a lot of us look at our environment that was great. It allowed us to grow. We needed that cozy, like tight safety. And I'm not speaking physical. I'm speaking energetic. I'm speaking tight-knit beliefs, a certain type of consciousness, right? A certain type of range of experience, all of that. It's not just a physical environment. I'm speaking about our energetic environment. We needed it tight and cozy because it allowed us to grow. It allowed for us to be nourished. We do not owe loyalty to that if it no longer feels good. It is nature to grow out of certain environments, certain energetic environments, a certain consciousness, if you want to call it that. It is our nature. And what we do so often is we have this loyalty to the state of being that is literally suffocating us. Just because an environment, energetic or physical, served you up until here does not mean you owe it loyalty. It did exactly what it was meant to do. It served you up until here. And now you're starting to feel suffocation. Now you can't breathe. It gets really uncomfortable. It's time for you to peck, spread your wings, and fly. You're not a chicken. You're a great eagle, cosmic, or whatever, like just phoenix, okay? You're a phoenix rising. This is when a lot of us, we feel uncomfortable, we feel imprisoned, we feel stuck, we feel discomfort, and then we start to feel guilt and shame. We start to say things, oh, I should be grateful for this. You shouldn't anything. Yeah, gratitude is the attitude every day. Like, see things as God is putting and arranging everything here so you can learn and grow. It's always for your growth. But when gratitude turns into rejecting growth, that becomes a problem. Like, picture the insanity of the baby chicken of, no, I should be grateful for this egg. It nourished me all this time. I'd rather stay here. It would literally die. So when it's time for you to outgrow an environment, outgrow the environment. And so it's so interesting because I had this moment, to give you a personal example, with a friend of mine, where she's really like, she has this depth and she has this power to really pull the truth out of you. So I was really going through it. And I just allowed my inner self to speak. Right? Because she created this environment of where my inner self was just like, okay, here's the deal. That's what we really feel. And it's like, I feel imprisoned. I feel like I'm suffocating. Like I can't breathe. I feel like I'm claustrophobic. And I could see all of a sudden she was triggered by that. And she stopped talking and she left the house. She didn't talk to me for weeks. And then she sent me this voicemail and she was very upset. And she was about, how dare you? How dare you call your beautiful house in Sedona a prison? Like, I was actually in a prison. I was actually under a bridge. You don't know what that means. Like, how can you dare say that? Like, all of these things. What this person didn't get is that it's not about the environment. It is a natural phenomena that happens. It's a natural experience when we've outgrown an egg. It's not a physical egg. For us, it's maybe an egg of consciousness, an egg of beliefs. The feeling at the edge of that, when we're about to break through, will always be almost like a suffocation, a loop, a prison. That's the natural feeling. You can experience that in the most beautiful mansion or out in the land. You can experience that everywhere and anywhere. It doesn't matter what your outside circumstances are. It's an intrinsic experience that's telling you you've outgrown this. That's so important for us to know, because so many of us, we shame or guilt ourselves for that experience because we have it so good and this environment kept us so safe and I should feel grateful, but I'm not. Go back to nature. Quit this whole, like, I don't know where we adapted these things from. I don't know where we've gotten this from. It's not serving. Nature is growing. Whatever helped you to get here, beautiful. You don't owe this place your loyalty. Move on. Rise. Grow. You're loyal to your desire because your desire is cosmic evolution speaking through you. That's what you owe loyalty to. And the second aspect of that is, now we're in this and we don't know how to move forward because we don't know how to travel properly. Traveling to a new realm of existence works very similar to actual travel. I'm going to ask you a stupid question. But when you want to travel to a destination, do you first arrive at that destination or do you first leave your house? I hope you get the point. When you say, I want to travel to the temples of Bali, you don't go to Bali first and then leave your house. What happens is you have to leave your old or current experience. You have to leave your current destination to get to the next destination. And so many of us do not know how to do this. We're like, well, once that's there, I'm gonna make the change. Well, once I can see it, I'm gonna take that risky step. Well, once the thing is there, then I'm gonna leave, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make the jump, right? Once the money is there, I commit to that. Once the time is there, I commit to that. Or I commit to that and then the time comes. Or I commit to that and then the money comes. We have it backwards. When we travel to another realm, when we travel like the baby bird out of the eggshell into the new existence, when we travel, we have to approach it like actual travel. You have no problem, right, sitting in this freaking airplane economy with 200 people all breathing the same air for 20 hours. You have no problem not sleeping for 48 hours and having 2 layovers somewhere in Shanghai. You don't care of not showering for 3 days. You don't care. Why? Because you know that Bali's waiting. Trust me, if you didn't know where you're going and all of a sudden you would just find yourself in an airplane, it wouldn't be that pleasant. We all like airplanes kind of because they are a part of the beautiful destination. We connect airplanes and airports to the beauty they're leading us to. That's why we're cool with that. When you move to another layer of existence, you have to leave the old one first. Now, we feel like we don't have that beautiful ticket that is telling us exactly where to go, so it's scary. But fact is, you go into that mountaintop. We don't really know how the ride is going to look like, but you're going there. It's for sure. But you have to leave the old environment first. Because if you're not willing to travel, there's no freaking way you're going to get there. If you're not willing to get yourself on an airplane, you're not going to get to Bali. So we don't know what our destination is. Like the baby bird, it didn't know that this whole world was waiting, but it had to peck. We don't know that this whole new life and beautiful paradigm is there. But we do. It always is. But we have to risk something. We have to leave the old destination first. And yes, there'll be some destabilization. There'll be some uncomfortable travel. You might sit in economy. It might happen. Yeah, not metaphorically speaking. Maybe life's going to be destabilized for a little bit. That's part of the travel. And now some of us, I know too well, we try to skip this step with relationship, right? It's like a lot of you don't leave one relationship until you have the other lined up. That relationship that is lined up, baby, it's not your destination. It's your travel. I'm not saying that's true 100% of the time, but not being able to leave a relationship that is no longer serving without having the next one already lined up is absolute weakness. Not do what you gotta do, but you're missing the journey, you're missing the travel. And now you've settled for an airplane as your destination rather than allowing that mountaintop. So explore your inner energetic environment and see what your patterning is. See what is the energetic makeup. Bring light to it. Uncover that. You are about to shift massively. For that, the only thing that is disrupting or interrupting or prolonging this shift is you. And you doing the same loops over and over because you haven't brought awareness to it. The good news is, what do I do about that? You don't really have to do anything about that first. You just bring observance to it. Because we know that the outcome changes when it's being observed. So as you observe it, as you bring consciousness to it, it is already being rearranged. And then, yes, it might take some courage. It might take something risky. It will take that. But there will be a point, just like the baby bird, you can't exist anymore in this closed-in paradigm. So eventually, you don't have another choice than to leave this old environment, even if you don't know where you're heading. I am here to fully support you on this if you're willing to take it a step deeper. Because it takes assistance, it takes continuous awareness. This is not a pattern that we can break just like that. It might be available while we're speaking about this, but can you maintain yourself in this new paradigm? Can you stabilize your nervous system in the new paradigm? Rather than to constantly try to stabilize your nervous system in a paradigm that is no longer meant for you. Can you allow yourself to be destabilized until you are in the new paradigm, and then we learn how to stabilize you there? That's what we do with continuous work. If you want to test the waters, Empress is there for you. It's a 4-week program that allows you to test the waters, in which we meet every week. But from experience, what I can tell you is that long-term work is where it's at. I've experienced both of it. I've worked long-term with people and I've worked short-term with people. The actual drastic shift happens in the long-term work, and everyone who has worked with me can absolutely attest to that. The real shifts happen in the long-term work. If you're not willing to take that risk yet, and if you are, you can email me. You can schedule a free call so we can talk about the opportunities. I only want to work with people who are serious about it. If you feel like you want to test the waters first, Empress is such a beautiful opportunity for that, because it gives you 4 calls in which we can start the exploration, in which you'll get so many inner exploration tools so you can do the work without me. It's kind of like jump starting it, but jump starting a journey and maintaining it are 2 very different things. And I cannot do it without assistance. So I am here. Empress is if you want to be pushed like beyond, let's say, the first fence of the mountain. If you want to go to the mountaintop, I am here to work on a more long-term and continuous basis with you. You have the choice. Link is down below. Schedule a free 15-minute call. I'm here to assist you. I'm here to figure out with you what is the best way to get you there, what is necessary for you. If you're not ready yet, right? If even the Empress commitment is destabilizing, beautiful, then start there. If the Empress commitment would feel like a no-brainer, it's probably not the right container for you. If a container feels like, oh yeah, absolutely, and there's absolutely no charge, it's not the right container. The right container for transformation, as in coaching, as in mentoring, as in assistance, requires charge. It requires discomfort. If the container doesn't do that for you, or even the contemplation about it doesn't induce some kind of discomfort, it's not expansive enough for you. So book the 15 minutes. Let's explore that. Let's explore what is actually the right environment for you so you can be pushed to the next paradigm. You can do this journey on your own as well. I am here. I am posting these videos in order for you to be able to do this journey by yourself. But if you're serious, you want the extra push, I'm here. I love you. Sign up for the newsletter, dear. There's so much beauty here. And I'll see you hopefully next week.